Not all stories are the same, nor should they be. Lord of the Rings is not the same as 500 Days of Summer. The Whale is not the same as Little Miss Sunshine. Joker is not the same as Taxi Driver. Wait, bad example. Moving on. The point is that stories are different because they have different things to say. Sometimes stories even have nothing to say, which is fine too.
Groovy.
But there is something that hits different when the writer puts a little bit of himself into the narrative. There's something that hits different when we relate to the characters on a visceral level. There's something that hits different when the movie is about something personal. Let me just start off saying that early Kevin Smith is my f***ing hero. His later movies, however, are a topic for another video. As an aspiring filmmaker, the thought that some working class schlub can just sell his shit, max out 10 credit cards, and make a movie and actually have that movie be not only good, but great, is the most inspirational thing that I've ever heard. Clerks is a masterpiece on so many levels. I will die on that hill. Flash forward to Mallrats. This movie is quite good, but it lacks the same depth as Mr. Smith's previous film. It's a funny, superficial story about two buddies at a mall. Really, nothing more, nothing less. And now we arrive at the topic of this video. Chasing Amy, a love story. And what could be more personal than a love story? Well, a breakup story. Holden McNeil and Banky Edwards are the co-creators of the wildly successful comic book series Blunt Man and Chronic. They sit atop the pinnacle of Nerd Mountain, reveling in their success. Just kidding, they're comic nerds in the late 90s. These two are awash in the sweaty sea of social ineptitude. Despite the pervading stench that surrounds them, these two are successful in their field. They are kings of the cons with an animated show on the way. And it's at one of these conventions that Holden meets a girl named Alyssa and is immediately smitten. But there's a hitch in Holden's plan. This girl likes girls. This seems like as good a spot as any to say that I am a straight dude. The point of this video isn't really to offer any commentary in regards to Chasing Amy in the queer community. The jury seems to be out on that one, and I'm wildly underqualified to make any statements about the subject. So, I won't. Despite their mutual attraction to the fairer sex, a bond forms between the two. They share a level of platonic intimacy that is hard to come by, but that isn't enough for Holden. Some might call him a simp, some might call him smitten, and both are probably right. Regardless of which label is applied, the artist bears his soul to Alyssa, risking the friendship for a chance at a deeper connection.
All every woman really wants, be it mother, senator, none, is some serious deep dicking.
Not now, this is a serious scene. After a dramatic, rain-soaked smooch, the platonic intimacy between the two becomes less platonic. A real relationship blossoms as they fall deeper and deeper in love.
Deep dicking.
Stop that. Holden is on cloud 9. Nothing can bring him down. Nothing except two words. Finger cuffs. These two words are the catalyst for the aforementioned breakup. Holden finds out that Alyssa has had a sordid past, filled with acts that YouTube would frown upon me describing. Whereas he, well, as is to be expected, he's quite vanilla in his smooching sensibilities.
You're way too conservative for that girl. She's been around and seen things we've only read about in books.
His insecurity grows and causes him to spiral. Down and down he goes, losing himself in the roiling vortex that so often can describe the male ego. This spiral culminates, as all spirals do, in a shouting match in a parking lot, leaving the fate of the two up in the air. But Holden is still hung up on Alyssa, and after some sage advice from everyone's favorite loiterers, hatches a plan to win her back. Unfortunately, it's a very bad plan. He propositions Alyssa and Banky for a three-way. His best friend is willing, but Alyssa refuses. That time in her life is over. She had found what she was looking for in Holden, but his insecurities went and f***ed it all up. A tale as old as time, really. After his best friend and the love of his life storm out, Holden is left to lament his fate and contemplate what went wrong. A year later, the dynamic duo of comics is kaput. Holden left Blunt Man and Chronic, and no one has heard from him this entire time. Until today. From across the room, he silently reunites with his best friend before approaching Alyssa with his new book. A book that couldn't be further from the absurd antics of Blunt Man and Chronic. A book about something personal. Before we get into what is personal about Chasing Amy though, I want to talk about something that is personal to me, cinematography. Chasing Amy is a prime example of what folks, well, mostly this folk, refer to as the Kevin Smith special. Meaning, stick a camera in front of two people and have them talk to one another. The appraisal of this style vacillates between amateurish and genius, and I, for one, am firmly in the latter camp. Mr. Smith routinely takes what would typically be a shot reverse shot type structure and films it instead as one wide, long shot, ostensibly done in one take. Even on the more close-up shots, he will often move the camera instead of cutting. The benefits of this, in my uneducated estimation, are twofold. 1. This cinematography gives these scenes an air of realism. We are watching these conversations in their purest form. Instead of taking the best takes out of a series of takes, these conversations take place as they would in reality. They're just two people talking. And this lends a sense of authenticity to these scenes that would be more difficult to achieve with a more standard shot structure. Second, these conversations seem more authentic because to one degree or another, they are. By doing everything in one take like this, the actors are forced to play on one another, to interact in a way that they wouldn't if they had multiple takes to deliver a single line. Even though the lines are scripted, the actors on screen are actually having a conversation. I have very strong, very mixed feelings on Mr. Smith's body of work, but rewatching Chasing Amy rekindled my appreciation for the Kevin Smith special. Also, I didn't know where else to put this, but shout out to this shot. Alyssa bathed in pink light on one side, Banky bathed in blue on the other, with Holden in the middle wearing purple. It's just spectacular shot composition. Moving on, Chasing Amy is first personal on a meta level. Professional aspects of the film are mirrored by the professional aspects of Mr. Smith's life. Holden is successful in the field of comics. Bluntman and Chronic is great and adored by fans, but the book is deviating from what it once was. Before anyone was paying him to make it, Bluntman and Chronic was a manifestation of Holden and Banky's artistic intent. They were making art for the sake of making art. But as the book grew in popularity, the motivation for creating it changed. It became more of a commodity than an artistic endeavor. The protagonists were ostensibly diluted down to their comedic elements, saying things like "snoochie boochies" and the like, and in the process, lost what made them, and by proxy the book, meaningful. Holden misses these early issues and longs to return to them. He wants to return to telling grounded, relatable stories, instead of penning absurdist cartoon antics. Sound familiar? Moving from the meta to the work itself, the through line of love gained and lost is about as personal a subject matter as the thing can get. There are murmurs and musings around the internet saying that Chasing Amy is about this person or that, but I don't think that this film is referring to any specific relationship that Mr. Smith had or did not have. Rather, it seems to be an examination of the failings of a plurality of relationships, all melded into a single movie. These failings can, to one degree or another, be seen as tropey, and individually, they might be. But tropes are tropes for a reason. While their use can often be ham-fisted, while they can be overused or poorly done, recurring themes and stories are there because they're so relatable. Take the puppy love-stricken simp that Holden is at the start of the movie. He doesn't know Alyssa. He has no reason to be as head over heels as he is about her, but he's smitten nonetheless. In this part of the film, Holden has a crush, plain and simple. We've all had crushes. And what's more is we have all theoretically felt how much it sucks when, for one reason or another, that crush turns us down. Now take the impassioned speech that Holden gives in his car. While we all have more than likely not been a straight guy confessing his love to a lesbian, we have had moments like this. Moments where we lay it all on the line. Moments where we bare our soul to another person. Even though the ramifications of such a thing will likely not go in our favor, this scene is particularly genius because it puts all of those potential ramifications on display. We get the crash and burn when Alyssa shoots Holden down. We see and relate to the devastation that follows, but we also see the optimal outcome. We see our passionate plea pay off as Alyssa runs toward Holden and plants a big old smooch on his stupid simp face. And the fight scene. Who hasn't had a big fight in a relationship? One of those big ones, where the two parties are screaming at one another in a parking lot. This is the type of fight where everything is on the table, where we are just trying to say things, regardless of whether we do or do not mean them, in an attempt to make the other person feel as bad as we feel. Our brains shut off and our hearts take over, usually for the worse. And after the dust is settled, after the participants in the spat go their separate ways, we feel regret for the things that were said in the heat of the moment. And finally, the bane of all relationships, insecurity. That vile cretin that lives inside all of us just waiting to rear its ugly head. Holden's insecurity is pretty obvious. He's worried that he's not as prolific a sex haver as his partner. But Alyssa's vile cretin is shown in a much more subtle way. She knew that Holden would feel strongly about her past. She knew that by misleading him, she was preemptively stoking the flames that would sooner or later spring forth. But the woman continues her subterfuge nonetheless. In her case, it's not the acts themselves that Alyssa is insecure about, but how others will react to them. She cares deeply for Holden.
Deep dicking.
God damn it, not now! And is insecure about how he will feel about her past. All, or at least some of these things, are things that most of us have felt or done at one point in our relationships. That being said, I don't think that was at the forefront of Mr. Smith's mind when he wrote Chasing Amy. I would be willing to wager that he wasn't thinking about what others had experienced, but rather what he had experienced. He took the greatest hits of his romance and breakups and put them all in a single movie. A movie that isn't a recreation of his life up to this point, but rather an amalgamation. He took all the joy, all the pain, all the turmoil that he experienced, and started writing something personal.